Hello, welcome to the Self-Learning Podcast by Dr. Sushma Singh. Let us start discussion on Unit 19, State Power as elaborated by Marx, Weber, Parsons and others. And our topic is Parsons on power. Parsons regards power as something possessed by society as a whole. As such, power is generalized faculty or resource in the society. It is the capacity to mobilize the resources of the society for the attainment of goals for which a general public commitment has been made. In this sense, the amount of power in society is measured by the degree to which collective goals are realized. Thus, the greater the efficiency of a social system for achieving the goals defined by its members, the more power exists in the society. This view is known as variable sum concept of power, different from the Weberian and Marxist and constant sum concept of power. Since power in society is not seen as fixed as contrast, instead it is variable in the sense it can increase or decrease. Parsons' view of power is developed from his general theory of the nature of society. He believes that order, stability and cooperation in society are based on value concerns. That is a general agreement by members of society concerning what is good and worthwhile. He assumes that this value consensus is essential for the survival of the social system. From shared values derive the collective goals, that is, goals shared by members of society. For example, if materialism is a major value of the Western industrial society, collective goals such as economic expansion and higher living standards can seem to stem from this value. The more able Western societies are also to realize these goals, the greater the power that resides in the social system. Steadily rising living standards and economic growth are therefore the indicators of an increase of power for the society as a whole. Parsons' view of power differentiates within society also derives from his general theory of social system. He argues since goals are shared by all members of society, power will generally be used in the furtherance of collective goals. Thus, for Parsons, power is an integrative phase in social system, just as social stratification. Parsons argues that as value consensus is an essential component of all societies, it follows that some form of stratification results from the ranking of individuals in terms of common values. Thus, those who perform successfully in terms of society values will be ranked highly and accorded high prestige and power stricken. They exemplify and personify common values. And Parsons, a functionalist, believes that this differential distribution of power and prestige among the different strata of society is just, right and proper, since they are basically an expression of shared values. Parsons views relationship between the social groups in a society as one of the cooperation and interdependence rather than conflict and confrontation. Particularly in complex industrial societies, different groups specialize in particular activities. As no one group is self-sufficient, it cannot meet the needs of its members, and hence each group enter into interaction with other groups for exchange of goods and services, which makes the relationship between different social groups one of the reciprocity. This relationship extends top the strata in a stratification system. In individual societies which exhibit highly specialized division of labor, some members will specialize in organization and planning, those who govern. Others will follow their directions, those who governed. Parsons argues that this inevitably leads to inequality in terms of power and prestige. Parsons' later work on power involved a conscious modification of his previous views. In his later works criticizing C.W. Mill's power theory, Parsons viewed power as generated by social system in much the same as wealth was generated in this productive organizational economy. The parallels which Parsons developed between power and money were based upon the supposition that each had a similar role in the two of the four functional subsystems of the social systems evolved by Parsons. Power for Parsons is a direct derivative of authority. Authority for him is institutionalized legitimation, which underlie power and was defined as the institutionalization of the rights of leaders to expect support from the members of the collectivity. By speaking to binding obligation, Parsons deliberately brought legitimation into the very definition of power, so that for him there was no such thing as legitimate power. Now let us wind up the session and take rest. Thank you very much for engaging yourself with a self-learning podcast.